Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into what I like to call the ultimate cosmic cold case. We're going to break down the actual scientific research behind a mystery that has completely baffled astronomy's greatest minds for decades now. It all revolves around one profoundly simple, yet frankly terrifying question. So, let's get right into the complete scientific explanation of the Fermi Paradox.
Picture this. The whole thing started back in 1950. The legendary Italian-American physicist Enrico Fermi was just having a casual lunch conversation with a few fellow scientists. They were talking about the sheer vastness of space and the incredibly high probability that aliens must exist somewhere out there. And right in the middle of it all, Fermi just stops, looks around and asks, well, if aliens should be everywhere, where is everybody? That one casual lunchtime question accidentally sparked decades of intense, rigorous scientific investigation.
The absolute crucial point here is this core contradiction. This is the official definition of the Fermi paradox. On one hand, you have a universe so enormously huge that intelligent life really should be common. But on the other hand, despite decades of pointing our telescopes at the sky, we found absolutely zero confirmed evidence of intelligent extraterrestrial civilizations. It's just an incredible mismatch.
All right, let's set the stage with Section 1, the crime scene, the scale of the universe.
2 trillion. Scientists estimate the observable universe contains over 2 trillion galaxies. I mean, really think about that the next time you're looking up at the night sky. We aren't talking about individual stars here. Those are entirely separate, sprawling galaxies. The scale is literally so massive that the human brain can barely even comprehend it. But okay, what happens when we zoom in a bit? If we look at just our own local neighborhood, the Milky Way galaxy, it contains roughly 100 billion to 400 billion stars. And astronomers now know for a fact that many of these stars have their very own planetary systems. We're talking about billions, or even trillions, of planets just hanging out in our galaxy alone.
Now, obviously, moving from billions of galaxies down to individual planets, we have to recognize that not every single planet can actually support life, right? It needs those perfect Goldilocks conditions. This is what astronomers call the habitable zone. Basically, if a planet is way too close to its star, the water evaporates and it gets dangerously hot. Too far away, the water freezes solid and it's just a giant ice block. Earth sits perfectly within our sun's habitable zone. And the crazy thing is, scientists have already found thousands of exoplanets out there, and a good chunk of them appear to be located right inside the habitable zones of their own stars.
So to try and actually put a hard number on all of this, back in 1961, astronomer Frank Drake created a mathematical formula that we now know as the Drake equation. It estimates how many intelligent civilizations might exist in our galaxy by multiplying a bunch of different variables. Things like the number of stars forming each year, the percentage of those that have planets, the chance that life actually develops, and how long a technological civilization manages to survive. Depending on the assumptions you plug into these biological and astronomical variables, the equation predicts anywhere from 0 to literally millions of civilizations. So mathematically, intelligent life could be incredibly common.
Moving right along to Section 2, the prime suspects, solving the paradox.
So how do we solve this? Well, theory number 1 is pretty straightforward. Life is just extremely rare. Sure, Earth developed life relatively early on in its history, but maybe that required an extraordinary, totally freak combination of events. Maybe planets with the perfect oceans, incredibly stable climates, and the exact complex chemistry needed to spark life almost never happen. If this is true, Earth might literally be one of the very few, lonely places in the entire cosmos where life actually exists.
Which naturally brings us to another concept closely linked to this whole investigation, and honestly, it's quite a bit more ominous. It's a concept called the Great Filter. The idea here is that somewhere along the timeline, between a planet first forming and a civilization building a massive spacefaring empire, there is a monumental, incredibly difficult evolutionary obstacle, or maybe a self-destructive event, essentially a filter that almost no one survives. So what would a great filter actually look like in the real world? Well, technology brings enormous power, but it also brings enormous risk. An advanced civilization might just naturally destroy itself. We're talking climate collapse, nuclear weapons, out-of-control artificial intelligence, engineered biological weapons, massive pandemics, or severe resource depletion. If civilizations rarely survive long enough to travel between the stars, they'd completely disappear before they could ever contact us.
Theory 2 brings us back to the sheer, raw physics of space. Maybe aliens absolutely exist, but the distances are just way too vast. Remember, Even light, which is literally the fastest thing known in the universe, takes years to travel between nearby stars. Our nearest neighbor star, Proxima Centauri, is over 4 light-years away. Traveling across the Milky Way with any kind of realistic technology we can dream up could take tens or even hundreds of thousands of years. So the universe might actually be totally full of life, but everyone is just too far apart to say hello.
Or what if they are saying hello, and we're just totally missing it? That's Theory 3, unrecognized communication. Right now, humanity primarily searches for radio signals, but a highly advanced civilization might use lasers, neutrinos, gravitational waves, or quantum communication, technologies completely beyond our current understanding. Searching for alien life using only radio waves might be exactly like pulling out an old analog TV and wondering why you can't connect to the Wi-Fi.
Then there's Theory 4, the zoo hypothesis. Now, keep in mind this is highly speculative, with zero hard evidence, but some scientists have proposed that advanced beings are intentionally observing us from a distance, without interfering, much like we humans observe animals in a protected wildlife reserve. They're just letting our young civilization develop on its own, safely watching from the outside.
Finally, Theory 5 offers a completely different perspective on time itself. Maybe we are the first. The universe is approximately 13.8 billion years old, and while that sounds absolutely ancient to us, developing complex, intelligent life and highly advanced technology takes an immense amount of time. It is entirely possible that humanity is actually one of the very first technological civilizations to ever arise. We aren't late to the cosmic party, we might actually be the very first ones to arrive.
Let's move into Section 3, the investigation, fact versus fiction.
When we look at the search for life, it's absolutely crucial to distinguish between SETI and UFOs. SETI, which stands for the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, uses incredibly powerful radio telescopes to rigorously examine millions of stars for unusual artificial patterns. On the flip side, we have UFO sightings. While a lot of people jump to the conclusion that unidentified flying objects are alien spacecraft, an unidentified object simply means it hasn't been identified yet. The vast majority turn out to be weather balloons, normal aircraft, satellites, weird atmospheric phenomena, or just camera glitches.
It's so vital we separate science fiction from scientific fact here. A huge myth is that scientists secretly know aliens exist. The reality? There is absolutely zero confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial life right now. Another myth? UFOs prove aliens have visited Earth. Reality, to date, there is no scientifically confirmed evidence that UFOs are alien spacecraft. Like we just talked about, unexplained does not automatically mean extraterrestrial. And one more myth, Earth is definitely the only planet with life. Reality, scientists simply don't know. It remains a massive, wide-open scientific question.
And before we get too discouraged, you have to remember that humanity has only searched a tiny, infinitesimal fraction of the sky. Imagine walking up to the ocean, scooping up exactly one glass of water, looking inside and concluding that because there are no fish in your glass, fish must not exist anywhere on Earth. That is essentially what we've done so far with the universe. Our search hasn't failed, it's honestly just barely begun.
But let's play devil's advocate for a second. What happens if we do find a fish? What if we receive a genuine, verified alien signal? Well, this is actually the subject of intense scientific debate. First, scientists would have to rigorously verify it wasn't a natural phenomenon or just a stray human satellite bouncing a signal back to us. But if it's real, the biggest debate right now is whether humanity should actually reply. Some scientists argue that responding is a crucial, necessary step for our species, while others firmly believe we should remain extremely cautious, maybe even stay quiet, until we understand exactly who or what is on the other end of that cosmic phone call. Which brings us to a final, really profound thought I want to leave you with today. Thinking back to that great filter concept, that major evolutionary roadblock that destroys civilizations, we have to ask ourselves, has humanity already passed the great filter? Did we somehow beat the astronomical odds when life sparked and evolved on Earth? Or is the great filter still ahead of us, just waiting in our future? It's a pretty heavy question about our ultimate survival and our actual place in the timeline of the universe. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer of the cosmos' greatest mystery and the science behind it. Keep looking up and keep asking questions.